International Relations Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, is today hosting her Zimbabwean counterpart, Frederick Shava, in Pretoria. The visit forming part of the mid-term review of the Binational Commission. Now, the two leaders are locked in discussions as we speak, bilateral relations and continental, including international issues of mutual concern expected to be discussed there. Now, during this morning's briefing, Minister Pandor thanking Shava for his country's cooperation in efforts to deal with the scourge of illegal immigrants. Joining me now is Pan-African Analyst Advocate Sipho Mantula, listening to that conversation between myself and Dumale. Advocate, thank you very much for your time. Let me get your quick analysis around the call from the Zimbabwean Foreign Minister to the nationals, to people from his country to respect the laws of South Africa. Why do you think it's important for Zimbabwe to set this tone?
Professor Toli, good morning and Jamba Africa to your viewers. I think this midterm review session, it is very important in the sense that the senior diplomat Shava to raise this thing, Toli, it is based on the interaction that they had since from last year. If you could recall that the issue of the special exemption permits has been given what can say a grace of almost 12 months from last year until now. And it is important to understand that the domestic challenges that are facing the SADC member states, including South Africa, have been heightening, seeing with the issues that came from Lesotho, seeing the issues of Eswatini. But when you look at Zimbabwe, I think, yes, the issues of Africa, I mean, Zimbabwean nationals who are in the country, whether legitimate or not, will always be at the center of this relation. But I think, again, maybe we need to go back to look at the history of these two countries, because once you have what we call the Binational Commission, there's always diplomatic solidarity that both countries will always review, assess, and look at the issues that affect economic gains between the two countries. Because what is at the core, again, we know that this month being the SADC month, in few days they'll be meeting in DRC, and the issues in the DRC, as we have said earlier, the issue of border management. How do you address the issue of border management and what we can call also the crimes that are being committed in the borders, whether it is through human trafficking or through drugs? But what is key is to come up with this issue of how do you deal with a special exemption permit that has been overdue for almost 3 years.
Yeah. Advocate, the issue of diplomacy, those who are involved in it will tell you that it is by its nature not loud, and so it is through the bilateral meetings such as the one that is taking place, where country to country they are able to raise issues that affect either of the countries and raise those issues sharply. What do you anticipate the language to be post this meeting, given the scourge of criminal activity in our country, particularly in township areas where people there say they are starting, in fact, they have been feeling the pressure which they are now apportioning to living side by side with the foreign nationals who are in our country?
No, correctly, the issues that you are raising, that the diplomatic tone that will have to come out of this meeting will always be cordial, will always be mutual. But I think they are missing one point, that in this high-level meeting, they are missing the civil society voice. They are missing analysis from conflict experts who can assist on this issue, because you might have high-level reviews that you look at trade, defense, energy, but I think the key issues becomes the issues of social cohesion between the two countries. The other issue that comes into a point again is that in the exchange of information are our criminal intelligence units working closely to can deal with these allegations of crime committed by Zimbabweans in this country, or even at the same time the issue of Zimbabweans who are not having proper documentation. So it is important that this meeting of minds, when they happen, we must always remember that we need to bring the people-to-people relation, because the review and the signing of this MOUs does not trickle down to ordinary people in most instances, and it becomes just a mere ceremonial meeting of minds, as we are aware that this is a preparatory meeting, by the way, even if I know that the media is looking as if something will come out. But this is a preparatory session for the fourth session of this binational commission, which has to be held later this year. But I think what is key is to look at what are the national of South Africa in the SADC region, which I know that they are dealing with their document at Deruko to say, how do we redefine our national interest at the back foot of these African nationals who are already in most of our provinces, who are in most of our big cities, and that already fuel what we'll always say is Afrophobia and at the same time a violent crime. And that's where it is important, as we know that the ANC just came out from their national policy conference, and they were just raising the same script only for many years that they want Zimbabwe to be stable. But how do you make Zimbabwe stable when we know very well that the issue trickles down to administration? Our Home Affairs ministries have been sleeping, have been on a slumber, and that's where we are facing this challenge. Our police system has been very relaxed on dealing with this issue of border crimes. And I think that's where this meeting of minds, like I'm still insisting with Koli, come the SADC summit, the 42nd summit that is going to DRC, how are they going to be handling challenges in the SADC region, taking into account that South Africa is bearing this brand now of African nationals leaving their own African countries and coming to South Africa. And this has been the challenge, I think, since 1994, how African countries who come out of conflict, how do they manage their governance structures? How do they manage even the people-to-people relations? If one looks at the SADC 2050 vision, because some of us, we are worried that this SADC vision and this SADC heads of state and ministers, they are just meeting, but they are leaving the ordinary people behind, and the media just run after them.
Sipho Mantula, let me thank you very much for your analysis and insights here. Very interesting tone you are raising there around this, and it's important that we as media practitioners wake up to this reality as well. A very interesting comment there from Advocate Sipho Mantula, particularly as South Africa and Zimbabwe, we were told in those introductory remarks that both these two countries have now been elected into the Peace and Security Council of the AU for the period 2022 to 2024. The issue of stability in these two countries of paramount importance. Two countries that are run by liberation movements who are now under pressure because the electorate has frankly become impatient with the state of governance.